Alrighty, and we are recording. Perfect. Alrighty, so we'll get started here. So you guys have probably already looked at the questions, but we'll start first. If there's one person that can just list some positive results of the pilot program that they read, that would be great. Who would like to do that?
I can.
Okay.
Some of the positive things were the fact that the mentors and the mentees became really close friends. They shared a lot of experience. They became better workers. Some of them even got promotions. It says 7 out of 25 mentees received promotions in the first segment. There's probably a lot of other stuff. Do you guys want to add some more?
Yeah, so going on to the next question is actually just asking somebody else what they think. So.
Oh. Okay.
I think I noticed just overall that there was more job satisfaction between the mentors and the mentees.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. All right. Anybody else would like to add anything else that they might have noticed?
I think if I remember right, wasn't there someone that was going to quit their job and go to another company, but through the program they're like, okay, I actually want to stay here?
Yeah. Yep.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
All right. The mentees, they work together like on their own as well, and we're able to form connections with one another and help to I just motivate each other and work harder and improve.
Yeah, I think it also helped boost all their confidence levels and their abilities, and learning to do more with the company made them feel better about their job. Again, job satisfaction and just confidence.
Yeah, and of course, coming with that job satisfaction, basically everything you guys said, it only helps the company, and that's the whole reason why they started the mentor program, is so that they could keep good people and they make those good people even harder workers. So that's great. You guys did great on answering all that. Now, following up, the third question says, follow up by asking how these reasons or causes for success resulted in success. Which ones are the most important? So first and foremost, why did these cause success? Why did these reasons cause success? I think I mentioned a little bit, but can anybody add on to that?
I think in order to have success, people have to be confident, and I think that they got a lot of confidence from team building and having that mentoring system. So I think that had a huge part to do with it, because I think if we're all timid in our jobs, we don't work to our potential, versus if we are very confident in what we're doing, we're likely to branch out, try new things, or even serve better.
Oh, completely. I completely agree with that. I've always noticed basically what you said, the more confident you are, the better work you actually do, until you hit a point where you don't become confident and then you hit a low, but then you come be confident again, and it's a cycle, of course. Something I wanted to add on top of that is I feel like the most important reason that why it's so successful is having a mentor, especially when you don't know how to do certain things. If you have a mentor to guide you, that helps a lot, rather than just having some sort of training for like a week. If you have a mentor that will guide you, for example, with this case study, I'm pretty sure it was a year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was a whole year of a mentor helping a mentee become or reach their full potential. And that's so much better than just like a week-long training. And that's what I believe would be the most important. Anybody else would like to add anything? Okay. Yeah, no worries. Now, out of all of these ideas that we've mentioned, which one of them or which couple of them would be specific to the bank, and would they work in other organizations?
What do you mean by ideas? Like the success of it?
Yeah, the reasons that we mentioned previous, the results.
Okay.
I feel like you could pick this program up and do it anywhere. You know, I mean, the only time you would have problems would be as if you don't have people in the same locations. Because I think in one of the readings it said something to do with the fact of, you know, you had to be in the same location. You couldn't be in 2 different locations. And that might work too, because they asked about how can you change things in the future. You could have a mentoring from somewhere else too, I guess, but it's more difficult.
Yeah, for sure. Perfect. Thanks, Debbie. Alrighty. Now, how can mentoring help employees with career development?
I think giving them access to more resources and information. And they know where to turn now.
For sure. Completely. Anybody else would like to add on to that?
Working with mentors, you get an example of what you're supposed, like kind of what you're supposed to be doing and like what to work for. And it's people with experience, and they can give you tips on what you should do to improve.
Completely.
I think I believe there was a scenario where one of the mentors actually recommended somebody for a job that the mentee never thought they would do that type of job. It seems to me I remember reading something like that. So because the mentees are probably looking for staff in their departments or for different places, that could work to advantage because they know what they're capable of by their working together already.
Yeah, completely. So I like learning about entrepreneurs. I actually read a lot about entrepreneur books, and most, I'm not going to say all, because I'm not sure on that statistic, but most entrepreneurs have a mentor that guides them, that leads them to success. A lot of them actually don't end up going to school, which I'm not promoting not going to school, but having a mentor, it basically can help you realize, or what I'm trying to say is they help you with real world applications rather than just learning, rather than just training, rather than just teaching. They help you with real world applications so that you can from there be able to increase and have your own real world applications and be able to mentor somebody else. So I think that's a great part of mentoring is that they actually teach you real world applications rather than just teaching you the basics. Now, what other approaches or programs might help employees to develop their careers?
Like tuition reimbursement. I guess that could help someone develop their career.
For sure. Continuing education, tuition reimbursement. So tuition reimbursement as in like a master's program or something like that?
Mm-hmm. Or even like the company I work for right now, they do tuition reimbursement because they want people to just like continue their education. So you just like let them know what classes you're taking. And if you get certain grades in classes, then they'll just reimburse you for the credits you're taking, which is pretty nice.
That's super nice. I wish my company did that.
I know. Actually, they have like limits of how many you can do, but it's still nice. It's useful.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Yeah. So I actually just recommended, so we had a survey, a company-wide survey at my company, and that's what I recommended was tuition reimbursement for reasons so that the company can help with attrition. Well, not attrition because that's with customers, with retaining employees. But yeah, that's a great answer.
I think they actually mentioned in the reading too that they do that, and they do that at my bank. Like even if you want to learn just a second language or anything, they will pay once you complete it. And then my manager's actually in law school that Chase is paying for right now, and he actually only has to stay with Chase for 5 years after the completion of it, and it doesn't have to be as a lawyer. It just can be as any job title, and then after that he basically has a free law degree.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And that's like expensive. That is an expensive degree as well. So
yeah, definitely.
That's awesome. Alrighty. And Does anybody have any experience with mentoring? I know I personally don't. I've never been mentored before, but does anybody else?
I haven't, no.
No.
Dang it.
I don't have like somebody that was like assigned to mentor me, but in my job right now, I'm someone's assistant, and she's been kind of like just teaching me the ins and outs of her job. And even though I'm not responsible for everything that she is, she's been like teaching me like everything, which has been really cool because I feel like she's a mentor even though we're like not assigned with each other. Because like I feel like eventually if she just quit her job, like I would know enough to like be able to replace her. And like she just taught me so much about different departments in the company and everything like that. I feel like I've been mentored by her in a way.
Oh, for sure. It kind of goes back to what we've learned previous. Basically, as managers, we should be teaching other employees how to replace ourselves and be mentors in that way. Perfect. That's great. Thank you so much, Melissa. Alrighty. Now, would a less formal mentoring program be even better where mentees are free to find whatever mentors they need to help them progress in their careers rather than being assigned to someone? If I need to repeat that, just let me know. So basically, go ahead.
Sorry. I actually think it's good that they set up the mentors for you because a lot of times people tend to be in cliques and want to stay with people that they know. And I think it's good to meet someone that you don't know. You're likely to learn so much more. And then there's not that friendship that gets in the way if you've got problems and they need to deal with certain things with you. Just a thought.
Completely.
Mentees would probably be more likely to pick mentors that they think would be best for them, and maybe like they would be more comfortable with, that wouldn't have them work harder and grow, I guess. So by having the mentors picked for them, they have an opportunity to learn something new that they may not have looked into before.
Completely.
I thought it was interesting that just to be eligible for the program, they had some guidelines, like they had to be there for a year, they had to be in good standing, and I think there were like a few other things like having like good approval ratings and stuff. So I think it's kind of good to have those guidelines set rather than have it super open, because it shows that they're committed and actually want to take 4 hours out of their every month and meet with them for a year straight, because otherwise I think that maybe they wouldn't follow through with their commitments.
Yeah. So I forgot what the book is called. Good, Better. No, is it Good, Better? No, that's a talk. So I read this business book, and it was last semester. I can't think of the name for some reason, but basically it was talking about how we need to keep the good people on the bus and kick off the bad people in any company. And I feel like, as you're saying, Sabrina, this is the perfect way to keep the good people on the bus, make sure that we retain them, kind of how like we were talking about last week, and then from there help them progress so that they can help the company or bring back basically dividends. So yeah, I appreciate that comment, Sabrina. That was great. Now, I think I've skipped a question on part 2. What other approaches or programs might help employees to develop their careers? Did I ask that? I don't think I did. Okay, so we'll start with that. What other approaches or programs might help employees develop their careers?
I guess looking into the group circles, maybe if they were to be placed with mentors in a group that's different than what they were looking at, just so they could broaden their horizons, see what else is out there, and just kind of get a new perspective on what all is available, I guess.
For sure. Actually, I think we did go over this, and that's when we brought up tuition. Is that right?
So yeah.
You're exactly right. I don't know. Maybe I forgot. But thanks for that extra comment, Danielle. Now, why would a company want to create a formal mentoring program rather than allowing mentoring relationship to form more naturally? so I think that bringing it back to what Debbie was saying, um, a more formal mentoring program allows you to get out of your comfort zone. And once you get out of your comfort zone, you actually learn a lot more. If you're with somebody that you're comfortable with, you normally get comfortable. You start to block out what's important because you're with somebody that you like. And if you're in an uncomfortable situation, I feel like that's actually when you learn the most. So definitely.
I have one more comment on that. Somebody had mentioned how, it's a commitment, a 4-hour commitment or whatever. I also think too that if somebody sets something up for you, it's kind of like a calling. You made a commitment to it, so you're going to stick with it. And if you're going to stick with it for a year, that means they have you as an employee for at least a year. And that kind of keeps you dragging along, I guess. Anything to keep your employees with you, because as we talked about in our learning, how much it costs to train somebody and how much it costs to get somebody new.
For sure. Anybody else would like to add on that? Okay, perfect. And let me see here. Yeah. Now, what might have been improved in the Federal Reserve Bank program? So what could the Federal Reserve Bank program could have improved on?
It sounded like maybe senior management, they thought that they should have been a little bit more supportive. I mean, they were supportive of them, but it sounded like the mentees and the mentors wanted them to be a little bit more supportive. So that might have been beneficial to them. I don't know what portion would have been beneficial. I just know they stated in there that they would have liked them to be more involved.
For sure. Adding on to that, looking at the statistics on the report, I did notice that the majority, and which is great because you're always going to find some positive, some negative, but the majority was positive. They liked it. But for those that had a negative experience, which I think was only like 1 or 2 people with their mentees, mentors, maybe switched it up just so that, which, I mean, in the end, it's kind of hard because you can never tell what relationships are going to work and what relationships aren't. But maybe if one of them wasn't having a good relationship, if they talked about that to the program managers, which it doesn't say if they did or not, maybe switch that up, but that's the only thing I can really think of on top of Debbie's. Anybody else have any ideas?
I guess looking at the second attempt, they didn't advertise it as much, and so they didn't get as many applications. And so I guess just making sure that they're advertising.
I can barely hear you, Danielle.
Just advertising more so that they get a wider variety of people in the mentors and the mentees.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. Advertising's huge. So just a story. I don't know if you guys know anything about CrossFit, but I do CrossFit. And so I go to a CrossFit gym, and this year they made a bunch of changes to CrossFit corporate. And they didn't do advertising for this certain competition they do every year, or this online competition. And right now they're sitting at half of as many people as they had last year because of advertising. So it shows you how much advertising is important in a company. And if you don't advertise it good enough, you're not going to have as many people signing up, paying for the services or the products that you have. So definitely, Danielle, I appreciate that comment. Anybody else? We're moving.
I think kind of what Debbie was saying with getting the managers to be a little more supportive. And it said in the rules, or I guess it was like common questions by the mentors and mentees, and it said that the managers will be expected to support the mentoring relationship. And so I think it's good that they made sure to let the managers know, like, this is required, like, because again, they'll be away from their job and 4 hours a month really isn't too much, but that can still be frustrating to some managers. So I think, again, just making it more known that like they support it, and then they don't have to be stressed out about like being away or scheduling that.
For sure. Perfect. Thank you. I appreciate that, Sabrina. All right, moving on. We're moving very fast, which is okay. I think this was only supposed to be 45 minutes and we're only 22 minutes in. But okay, so I'm gonna ask a series of 7 questions so we can have an idea. After we're done listing the suggestions, we're gonna discuss the pros and cons for each. So I'll ask question by question per person. So Debbie, I'll ask you a question and then so on and so forth. After each person's done answering their question, what we're going to do is we're going to discuss the pros and cons of each. And at the very end, we're going to vote as a team which approach is the best. Okay? Alrighty. Now, first and foremost, so Debbie, why do you think less people signed up for the second round?
It seems to me when I read it, I think that they didn't advertise as much. I think, like Sabrina said, no, it was Danielle, said that I think they were worried about getting too many people, so they didn't let too many people know, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Now, Danielle, what could what could the company have done to get more applicants?
Advertise more.
There you go. See as that, right? Alrighty. Anything else you think, Danielle, or would that basically be it? I'm putting you on the spot.
Maybe just talk to the different departments and discuss how the program could benefit everyone as a whole.
Perfect. Excellent. Thank you.
I wonder if they couldn't go and select people that they feel could benefit from mentoring. Kind of like, I don't know if in the church, probably in your wards too, they came up and selected people to take financial classes and different things like that. There's no reason why your bosses couldn't say, I think you'd benefit from this mentoring program and I'd like to sign you up for it. Mm-hmm. You know?
Perfect.
If they were lacking, they could do it.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I forgot. So off of those 2, we'll just do it at the same time. What would be the pros of advertising and what would be the cons of advertising? So we've talked about the pros. Let's talk about the cons a little bit. What could the cons be for advertising?
Cost money.
Cost money. Anything else besides that?
What about the time factor of having to go through all the mentors and the mentees and have to figure out, it sounded like they only had, I don't remember how much it was for the second, but maybe 25 spots. And say if you got 1,000 applicants, you've got a lot you have to go through.
Yeah, very true. Very true. Any other cons? All right, no worries. Perfect. Those are great cons. I appreciate you adding those. Now, let's see, Melissa, what should they do with the mentoring program moving forward? Should they expand or should they keep it small?
I think they should expand it, but not a lot. I think that they should make it bigger because 25 isn't very many. And I think if they advertised it more, they would definitely get more applicants. But I think having it as a small group keeps it easier to control and monitor and help out where they need to, because if they've got so many different people mentoring, they won't be able to keep track of everybody and what's going on. But with a smaller group, they can.
For sure. Yeah, so going off of that a little bit, you guys probably have experienced this because, you probably have, but where you have a super small class, you're teaching a class in gospel principles or now we don't have gospel principles, but in a situation like that where the class is super small and you create groups so everybody teaches themselves and then you have a lot more interaction. So I feel like that's a great part about having small groups is mainly because you have the opportunity to have more interaction. People are teaching each other. But there's also a benefit to big groups, as you're saying, Melissa. Now, something that I think about having this mentoring program, if the bank was really dedicated into mentoring more people so that they don't have, I don't think of the word attrition. Can anybody help me out?
Retention?
What?
Retention?
Retention. There we go. Perfect. Thank you, Sabrina. With retention, they could even create a position as a project or a director, project manager or a director over this mentoring program, and have it go from each facility and have each facility do a certain amount of applicants. It could even be smaller, but in the broad range, it'll be a lot bigger. So per facility, do maybe like 5 applicants for a mentor-mentee program or pilot program, and then spread that across the whole entire, all the facilities. So it ends up being bigger, but you have a lot more people involved. So there's still small classes, still small groups, but you have a lot more people involved in the pilot program. Now, talking about pros and cons of that, would anybody have any ideas?
We're talking about expanding, right?
Yeah, so basically keeping it, so what would be the pros of expanding or we'll actually talk about the cons because we kind of talked about pros. So what would be the cons of expanding and what would be the cons of keeping it small?
Well, cons of expanding, it's still a new program and they're still developing it, and it would be harder to nitpick and like figure out what needs to make it function better if they're expanding.
For sure. And what would be the cons of keeping it small?
I mean, if you were to, well,
I think because a lot of people wouldn't get opportunity to be in the program because they had to turn away, I think, quite a few the first round. So I think that's a con, not giving everybody the opportunity to do it if they want to.
Another con?
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, and then you can go after Debbie. I just thought of this con. If they did expand the program, they'll run out of positions to promote people. Yeah, because sooner or later, you can only have a certain amount of people promoted. And if you expand it a lot, then you're going to run out of places to promote. However, you can still have a mentor, which is still good in the end. So if somebody that was in a higher level position, if they left, then they can be put in. But sooner or later, you're going to run out of positions to promote people. Go ahead, Debbie.
Mine was, I don't remember what her name was, but it began with an R, I think it was. Her position was kind of over that, and I would think that, they kind of had a bit of the funding according to how many people she had as mentors or mentees, that if you took people away from it, then maybe her funding would dwindle a little bit. I don't know, just on a money aspect of things. I'm not sure how that would work.
Yeah, for sure. You're going to have to look at the pros and cons with the money aspect. If you invest more money into keeping people, it's possible that they'll bring more dividends. But if they don't bring those dividends, it's just the risk factor, basically, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, perfect. All right, thank you. All right, now, Sabrina, how do they get more people without forcing them to be involved? Or how can they get more people without forcing them to be involved?
In the reading, they talked a lot about trying to be really enthusiastic about the program and just talking about the benefits and getting people excited about it. And I know that when they proposed it for the first time, they were kind of worried that maybe they would be like super excited about it and then it would dwindle a bit. But I think just making sure to talk about how awesome it was, especially the first time around. And then I know that they posted a lot of reviews from the mentors and mentees like outside the cafeteria, I think. So I think that was a great way for a lot of other people to see it because they're going to see at lunch and pass by at some point.
For sure. Completely. Adding on to that, it's just really going back to what we talked to before is advertising it. And the thing is the people that want to progress in the company, that want to be involved, and that are wanting to be on the bus, talking about my example earlier, they're gonna be the ones that are gonna want to be involved. So just that was Sabrina. Alrighty, now how can they encourage people who really need mentoring to get mentoring? So I'll take that one. So this is a hard subject, mainly because a lot of people that don't want to get mentoring, they're going to be blocked off. And no matter what you say to them, they're going to be, blocked off, basically. It's very hard to encourage people that are down. I know this because I've seen it myself lately. I've been very down in school, in certain classes. And my wife tries to help me, but sometimes I just want her to listen. But I don't know. What do you guys think? I've actually been trying to figure out the answer to this question for a while now. What would be the best way to encourage somebody who needs mentoring to get mentoring?
I can see.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm gonna say I can see, saying that, especially because a lot of those kind of people have been in their job for a long time. They're kind of scared to move on, in their comfort zone, and just kind of say, hey, there's a lot of opportunities in the bank, and that this mentoring program can get you where you can get new jobs, make more money, those kind of things, and go at it that way, because everybody wants to make more money. And so it's possible that might help. I don't know.
Yeah. Compensation. That's great. And Melissa, were you going to say anything?
I was going to say, like, going back on, like, something that we learned previously in the semester, like, during employee reviews, like, maybe just meet with the person that you think would benefit from mentoring and say, hey, look, there's this great program that I really think you would benefit from. Let's make a goal together for you to apply and try to get in this year and see where you go from there.
Yeah, for sure. Perfect. Thank you, Melissa. Now, how do they get enough people to mentor? So I think anybody just can answer this one. So kind of going, what I was thinking, Debbie, is maybe do some sort of compensation package for mentors, mainly because they're going to be taking their time out of their day to do this mentoring program. But is there anything else that the company can do to get enough people to mentor?
Have it as a requirement for a job, I mean, they have different criteria for different things that, I mean, all of us do end up teaching somebody in a job generally, and it's in our job description that we're to teach the new CSRs coming in or whatever it is. So if it's just added to job descriptions.
Yeah, for sure. I completely agree with that. And then it's basically, it's not forcing them, but they know that they have to do it sooner or later. Yeah, that's awesome.
They're already being compensated for it, so it won't cost anything extra.
Yeah, perfect. And now, so the last question here is, it tells me to ask each team member what they would do. Ask them to be specific about what they would do. Now, I imagine this is just talking about the 6 questions that we talked about previous. So, for example, what I would do in this situation is advertise more, as we were explaining, but like a job application, keep it to a certain level. You're going to have a lot of applicants, but you're going to have to keep it at a certain level. Expand, but do it in small groups. And then, so I'll just leave it at that. Debbie, what would you do in this situation?
that anything that's doing good should expand a little bit. So like maybe a 10% increase, and that way you're not going to get too big. Like I mentioned, I think, change some job descriptions so that people need to, you could even do that with mentees too. It's expected that, within a 3-year period of your job that you need to do at least 1 year of mentees or something like that. You can add anything you want into people's job description. You can change them at any time. And either somebody chooses to keep their job or chooses not to. Let's see. The other thing I thought of too was they said that the mentor program was not mentioned in their job, what do you call it, preview? No. When they had a job, what do you call it?
Appraisal?
Appraisal, yes, sorry. And it wasn't something that was brought up in there, and I really think it should, because it shows a lot of a person if they're willing to do this mentor program and be committed for an entire year. So I feel like that should be in their appraisals so that people know that they're committed and maybe get some kind of compensation for it towards their employment.
For sure.
And that's about it.
And Danielle, what do you think?
I would also increase advertisement, and then I would probably keep it small for the first couple of years while they're still developing and figuring things out, and then slowly expand. And just encouraging employees to look into the program and to see what the benefits are of it.
Perfect. All right, and Melissa?
Kind of the same as what everybody else has said. I would definitely expand, but not too much. I don't want everybody to be like overwhelmed with everyone trying to do it. And advertise more, try to get more people to apply, and then especially try to target those people that really do need the mentoring that could benefit from it.
Perfect. Thank you. And Sabrina?
Yeah, I think just what everybody else said, and also adding on to what Melissa said is maybe having even managers send referrals for people who should be mentees. And then I also like the idea of just adding mentors into certain job descriptions. If they've had experience, just say, this is like something you need to do. Well, I guess that sounds bad. Worded a little differently. You get to do or something.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Perfect. So adding on, as you guys were all talking, I even thought what we could do, adding up basically what everybody said, make it a guideline. If you do the mentee program, you're going to be a mentor after for another mentee. So that way you don't have to, the compensation is being from a mentee to a mentor. And hopefully in that period you'll have a promotion or at least some sort of raise. So perfect. Alrighty. Now it says to vote on the approach they like best. Do we all agree what we talked about?
Yes.
Yes.
Excellent. That makes it easy. Alrighty. And there is no questions for me stating what everybody, so in the past stating how well I did, unless if that's on a different page.
It's usually on this one. Mine didn't have the questions on it either.
Alrighty. Sweet. So then let's talk a little bit about our paper. So we have basically, let me see here. So we have a total of, we can pick out, is it 6 topics? I think it's 6 topics. Let me see here.
Did everybody get the link I sent?
I did, yeah. I haven't looked at it yet, but I got it.
I kind of had a bit of time, so I went on and did stuff. So I wrote down sexual harassment from week 5, job interview process from week 6, recruiting from week 6, staff training from week 7, and motivation from week 8.
So are we allowed to go back to the previous weeks? Because I think we're only supposed to talk about the weeks that, so for example, it would be week, let me see here.
I wasn't sure because you took one from another one, so we missed doing one. So there's not, well, I mean, we don't have to because we only need 3 problems.
Yeah. So that was a mistake on my end that I verified with.
Right.
Yeah. So I think we're only allowed to talk about week 6, 7, and 8. So.
Okay, then I'll take off 5 then.
Alrighty. So I feel like I don't know. Does anybody have a certain topic that they want to cover?
I kind of started one already just because, like I said, I had some time and next week is going to be kind of crazy. So I started basically education. So my first problem is the president of Doohickeys Uni Inc. stated that working class just doesn't know how to work anymore. The employees are in need of formal on-the-job training, both on how to perform their job duties as well as being motivated to work. So I kind of started, and I put 4 problems, and then I started on those problems. But I've only kind of done 1 so far, and then a little bit of another.
Now, just a quick question, Debbie. Is education one of the topics?
Staff training is.
Yeah.
So staff training is included in there because staff training, job training, same thing.
Okay.
And I feel like, I mean, they're saying in there that people are doing things different ways. And where I work, we're kind of a production line area. And when you have people doing things different ways, they're trying to figure things out 10 different ways, and it takes 10 times the time to do it.
Okay, perfect.
You know, training and gearing them to one way of thinking.
Alrighty. So maybe what we could do so that Brother Bone is aware of the situation, instead of saying education, of course we can talk about education in the thing, but maybe call it training, just so Brother Bone knows.
I put training in there. The employees are in need of formal on-the-job training.
Okay, perfect. Alrighty. Now, is there any other topics? So that's our first topic. We just need 2 more topics. And that was in training is week 7. So if we look back at week 6, hiring and selection or recruiting. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, yeah, I would be interested in doing recruiting.
Recruiting. Okay. And then we could do motivation as a third.
Okay.
Yeah, because safety, I don't know what it's going to talk about next week because I haven't looked at it. I don't know what type of safety it is. But since we already did OSHA, we could just do motivation.
Yeah.
All right. So I can work on the motivation one. I'm going to be doing basically everything on this Saturday. So in 2 days, because that's the only time I have free. But yeah, so we'll do motivation, training / education, and then recruiting.
I can do like hiring. We could do like hiring and recruiting in one as like a problem.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? And so I could write like 2 solutions on hiring, and Sabrina could like do 2 on recruiting or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, good idea.
Danielle, do you want to help Debbie with hers, or?
Which one's Debbie?
Debbie's doing training, education.
Okay. Yeah, sure, I can do that one.
Okay. And then I'll do the motivation. Let's see. What was with training again? Oh, it was this week. Man. Training / career development. So maybe you guys could do training, career development with your solutions, and then I can do the motivation. All right. So we'll start working on that. And then it says by the end of week 8, which means we don't turn in. At least he didn't specify. Did he specify that we can turn in on Monday after week 8?
I think Monday is the end of week 8. Monday morning at 8 a.m. is the last time we had to do it. So I would assume it's the same.
Okay. So technically it would be the 4th, Monday the 4th by 8 a.m.
Probably.
Okay. Alrighty. Sweet. Now, who wants to be the leader this week, or this paper?
I can do it. I just like put everything together and make sure.
Yeah, basically just format it. Oh, so you guys know the reason why we got a 93, I think it was. This is my bad. But so for the conclusion, oh, I still need to send that. I'll send that tonight. I basically formatted it the same as the other paper, the example paper, which was just a couple of sentences per paragraph. And apparently he didn't like that. He wanted more sentences per paragraph. So I'll send it to you. I'll send it to everybody. Maybe we can all help out with the conclusion depending on our topic. So that all you have to do, Melissa, is just format it and then be set from there. So I'll send that tonight so you guys can see it. So it's just on a couple of the paragraphs, there's just a couple of sentences for some of the paragraphs, and he didn't like that. So, all right.
That's good to know. So we all have to do like a conclusion basically on what we did and just put it at the bottom.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and it'll make it a little bit easier for Melissa. That was my bad. Sometimes I like to do a little bit too much than I can handle, and yeah.
Well, that's why I was trying to see if other people wanted to like join in, because I felt like it was too much for you. So somebody should probably do the the introduction, and then somebody should do, we should each format our own
Conclusion.
references, and then try and put them in alphabetical order, so that when somebody goes to format it or do anything, they really don't have to do anything. So if we're each plopping things in and doing them in alphabetical order, it makes it so that you don't have to do anything in the end.
Perfect. And we're doing MLA again?
Yes.
All right, sweet. Okay, perfect. All righty, so we will get started on that, and we will see each other next Thursday then.
Sweet. Have a good week, you guys.
You guys too.
Okay.
Bye.
All right, bye.